Hey, what's up, guys? You're with the PlanetFight Podcast. We have a lot to talk about. We had a great card in Vegas on Saturday, May 30th, the UFC Apex Center or Performance Center or whatever it is. Ain't as Apex as this, Tuck. That's all I'm saying. I mean, we had a crazy night. Woodley, he had a great fight, but just couldn't get it done. We had some great fights throughout the main card, and even the prelims had some gems in it. So I'm Dip.
I'm Tuck.
And let's dive in.
Yeah. From top to bottom, it was an entertaining card.
Woodley, man, that's a rough one to watch. We both love him, so it's like one of those things that it's like, oh, but he had a great fight though.
Yeah, it's also rough because like you see the challenges he went through, asking for more money and like fighting for more money with the UFC, only to have like these last two performances in his fights.
Right.
So they didn't like he's been a champ for what, like 3 years now? He's fought 4 times.
Right.
And he's been healthy most of those times. Like he's been healing and resting in this off period. So it makes you feel like the UFC really wasted the potential of someone who could be an all-time great by shelving him the way he did a lot of this. But in defense of Woodley, Burns is also just a savage. Like that man is an amazing fighter.
Like I would like to see him kind of jump, like even over Edwards. I like Edwards. I think Edwards deserves it. But I think right now, like that performance, Woodley's like, he's great. Although Usman's amazing, and Woodley did have a bad night that night. He just didn't look himself. Woodley, he even said after the fight, no excuses. It's not, he didn't have a bad night. Like and I think he was tagging him with a few of those shots. You said when we were watching it, it only takes one with him. Like those right straights he throws. It only takes one. The way Burns just got around him and was just able to do like whatever he wanted, basically. He dropped him early. That was crazy and had you on the edge of your seat.
Oh, yeah.
And that was so unexpected. But Woodley did a great job, though, of kind of keeping his cool. Like he wasn't out of it and snapped right back into it. It's like a champion's mentality. That's the experience. But can't take anything away from Burns. Woodley had 6 straight like title fights. Like he's the real deal. You can't take anything away from him.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like even if it is an off night for Woodley, even if he feels like he didn't go his best into that fight, it was your responsibility to make sure you are completely prepared for that 25-minute window that night. Everything in your power should be focused on bringing you to complete preparation for that moment. That's not Gilbert Burns' fault that he didn't get the best Tyron Woodley. That's Tyron Woodley's fault. Mm-hmm. But it could be so many things. He's aging as a fighter. He had a full college career as a like one of the highest level wrestlers the UFC has seen. Like I think what we're seeing is just the degradation of fast twitch muscles in a very high level athlete. When you start to lose those, he has to make up for it for technique, which isn't really there. And he doesn't feel comfortable pushing forward because he doesn't feel like he has the same explosion he had.
Right.
He trained for a very specific fighter in Wonder Boy for essentially a year and a half straight. The way he fought Wonder Boy has seemed to take over his fight style as a whole now. And now he's like waiting and countering because it worked on Wonder Boy. And Wonder Boy is like the best striker in the division. But things aren't black and white like that. Sometimes you need pressure in your fighting. Sometimes you need to counter. Sometimes it's a mix of the both. But it's a shame that they shelved him for that long and we didn't get to see Tyron really shine the way he could have.
Right.
Yeah.
He's so explosive and athletic. Anytime he's in the octagon, besides that Usman fight, usually a showing. But yeah, that was just rough, dude. Lee showed some heart, but I don't know. I think it might be time.
Yeah. Well, Gilbert Burns was just so technically sound, he never let Woodley get a footing. And that's really what it came down to. He kept him on the back foot the whole time, and anytime Tyron would try to counter, he would back off and reset. And you're like, well, it's smart. He rocked you a few times, like he pushed the pace, and then when you would get ready to counter, he wasn't there. And that's just the way it is sometimes. Sometimes your game plan's the wrong game plan. You got to go to the next one.
Right.
And it just seemed like he didn't have the next one.
Right. But moving on to the exciting business, you hate him. I love him. Good old Spike Carlisle, the Alpha Ginger.
It's not that I hate him. He just gets under my skin so much. Like his promos are so awkward and cringy. Right. That it's hard to watch them. So I don't want to watch them. So I don't want to watch him fight. And he was exciting to watch, but he is like zero technical aspects to his game whatsoever, just exploding out of everything he can. And
he came running across like Masvidal and just like threw that like head kick. It was like, or it was like a front kick, like right to his face.
He was so exhausted when like halfway through the second round that you were like, how are you a professional fighter? Like, how did you get to the UFC?
Well, he's doing so much. He's like doing cartwheels, front flips, like windmills, like doing everything in his power, like to put on a show. But it's like, geez, dude.
Yeah, that fight was at a catch weight. I didn't realize it was at a catch weight. I want to figure out his weight class so we can.
The Alpha Ginger.
Yeah.
Oh,
so we can,
all hail the Alpha Ginger. Yeah, that was a decent one. But this one really sucked because I like this guy in Brock Weaver. I mean, it was a good fight. They both showed heart. I think Brock he had some problems with his length, and in both aspects of the game, both in striking and grappling. I mean, I don't know that well, but those lanky guys, they're rough.
Worst, yeah.
Yeah, right.
That's why you see the chokes work. Like there was the moment when he went for a really, really deep guillotine on Brock, and he just spun as fast as he could out of it. And committed fully to it. So like Brock was giving it every last bit he got. That dude was just very, very good.
And that's one thing. Like I really hope Brock. I know he's lost the last. Well, actually, he's 1-1, so maybe not because it's an illegal knee.
Yeah, but a DQ win isn't a win.
But this is also 8-day notice.
Right? Yeah, that is true.
That's another thing. Like I want to see him at a full camp, not get an illegal knee.
Yeah. Me too.
So, but I like him. I like you said, we both like he like shows up with his war paint and everything, repping his culture and everything, and it's just cool watching a guy. But in this situation, he was just outmatched, striking all around. But
he's so big for that weight class, man. I don't know what his strength and conditioning is like, but that's a lot of muscle to move around the way he does because he's a pressure guy. Like if he maybe shed a little bit of that and it made the weight cut easier for him, I think he'd have a better time too. And be a little quicker.
And then Dern and Cyphers.
Yeah. First woman's like leg submission ever in the UFC, which is super cool.
Yeah, that is really cool, dude. I mean, they were going at it. That was a cool little scrap. But that's cool. Like it made history. In the meanwhile,
Mackenzie Dern, if she can, you can see the awkward holes in her game with takedowns. Where all she really knows how to do is throw overhooks and try to drag you down with her. That doesn't work if you have to go fight Valentina Shevchenko. She's going to push you off and head kick you on the way out. That's just the way it is. But once it hits the mat, she is more technical than any girl in the UFC. Like she beat Gabby Garcia in the open weight division for IBJJF and like took home the gold medal from them. With like an 80-pound differential between the two. Like Gabby Garcia would beat the living shit out of me. Right. And she just controlled her and managed to outwork her and outposition her. Like there's not a lot of girls that can compete with Mackenzie Dern on the ground, especially in MMA. So if she can start putting things together, once again, go to a camp that is less focused specifically on her and more of like broad strokes camp with like a few good wrestlers. Maybe even go to like Ohio and train with some of those girls out there at the college team or like some of the other really good women's wrestlers who are trying to make the Olympics. Like go get working with it you're not good at. If you just roll with jiu-jitsu folks all the time, if you go to a jiu-jitsu school, 70% of those people, they don't fucking go for takedowns. They sit guard and butt scoot towards you. You got to find those wrestlers and fucking throw down. Like you're going to get tossed around the first couple bit, but you're going to get better at it. That's how this shit works.
Right. All right. Yeah. So that like kind of wrapped up the main card. Like we said, it was pretty entertaining, but I mean, I'm ready for the juicy cards coming up in the next couple months.
I mean, the next one ain't that juicy. So
next couple months. I didn't say next week. Watch it. So moving on to the prelims, we had I always screw this name up, but I think it's Chookagian. Is that it?
Caitlin Chookagian, the blonde fighter.
Yeah, Chookagian and Shevchenko. And didn't her sister fight her or something like that?
Yeah.
So that kind of some bad blood there.
Yeah, Shevchenko's older sister's the champ. And
I knew that, yeah.
Yeah, she finished Chookagian in the second round. And what was a very one-sided fight, but it wasn't like a clear, like it wasn't like the head kick knockout of Jessica I from Shevchenko. Like that shit was horrendous to watch. But this was really just you saw where her training with like the folks like Frankie Edgar, Lance Palmer, and under Mark Henry was, because they were like, well, fuck standing with those two sisters ever again. Let's just go for takedowns. That's what she did, and it worked. Like she just smushed the fuck out of her for 3 rounds, and it was super successful. She beat her up pretty bad on the ground too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that one was entertaining. It was cool. It was like, and it was cool because I didn't even know that. Like I knew who Shevchenko is, obviously the champion, but then when I didn't know her sister was fighting that night, so I was like, oh shit, and then you explained to me, and I'm like, that's pretty cool. That'd be interesting, like fighting her little sister.
Yeah, right.
I'd be like, I can't lose this. Like, gee.
Well, that's super good for Chookagian, because that makes selling a title shot for her again versus Shevchenko so much easier, because she just beat up your sister.
Because she wants to fight her now.
Exactly. Like she's still the champ, and like she beat you pretty one-sidedly. This is a way to justify selling that fight. You know, like it's something, but nobody's beating Shevchenko anytime soon.
Right. The other one I wanted to talk about was Jamal Hill in Peru, I think his name is.
Yeah, Jamal Hill looked good. Very technical. He cut angles really well.
I'm so excited for him, dude.
Yes.
He's like so like the way he's built and everything. It's just like he moves so well at that weight and everything. It's just like he's smooth.
Yeah, I really like the fact that in clinches he tries to circle off and work to the plum, because the plum is a great way to break posture of opponents. And if you take the plum and you crank their neck down and they go to shoot, it's a setup for a guillotine, because as I shoot, I'm going to stretch my neck out because it's cranked in here. It's just that automatic release. Like anybody's wrestled, if you do a snap down and snap the head down, the first thing they're going to do is pop. It's like an overreaction to pop it back up. So
Right.
him like getting that plum real hard and throwing knees like that just tells me he's going to have a better time dealing with like strong Greco wrestlers and people who really like to bully you around in the clinch grappling wise. Right. And that's a good sign for him, because he's a very technical striker whose clinch defense and turning that defense into an offensive moment is really, really, really good.
Right. About him. But the last fight we can talk about that I wanted to ask you about was that Tim Elliott. But not just about the fight, but I wanted to ask you, like, he's just a freak, dude. Like, he's a psychopath. Like, what do you think his future is in the UFC?
I don't think he really has a future in the UFC right now.
Right.
It's like that dude fought Demetrius Johnson for the title for 5 rounds, coming because he won the Ultimate Fighter.
Right.
His style is based around doing weird shit so much that it throws people off, and they don't want to engage completely, because they're like, he's doing really weird fucking spins and like head movement. I'm not going to commit to anything. Right. So like it gives people pause. But now you're seeing, once people have filmed a study on him and like have all the fights in his library to study him, like, oh, it's just weird. It's not anything new or dangerous. Like he's just doing weird head movement to throw you off. Just fucking crack him. Like he made a name for himself doing that. Fought very good people with that, but didn't win. That's what it comes down to. Like, he doesn't win.
Yeah, exactly. He does put on a show for Uncle Dana, though. Yeah. Speaking of Uncle Dana, though, how about Dana White versus Jon Jones?
I love it.
Because he's gone. He vacated.
I know, and I'm happy. Bring DC back down. Get him that belt.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, you know how I am. I can't stand Jon Jones.
I know.
I hate how he did my boy DC. It's
roided up. Juice.
Yeah, that's the thing. I genuinely believe he is like a PED user, and now that he's off of PEDs, he doesn't look like the greatest fighter ever anymore. You know, like it that's what the evidence looks like.
The past 3 fights, dude.
Yeah, and what I genuinely think is he tested positive for a banned substance, and because USADA doesn't announce that fighters tested positive for a banned substance anymore, he's taking a leave of absence so he can justify not fighting for the next 2 years. it's not a coincidence. Like he's going to bring lawyers in. They're going to figure out a deal with USADA, and he's going to come back eventually. But I think that dude's cheating again. Is what I really think.
Imagine you're like protesting, right? And you're spray painting somewhere in Albuquerque, and Jon Jones just comes up like, "Hey, give me that." Are you gonna give it to him?
Yeah, because he's a 6'5" athletic freak. Like, what am I gonna do? It's not like if
that video was
if I see it and it's him. But when Jon Jones turns that corner and I know who he is as a person, I'm like, this dude's gonna kick my.
Kid turned around like, "Oh my god." Jon Jones talking to you in a stern way would be scary.
That's what I'm saying.
If he was like mad at you, like if Jon Jones was mad at me, I would be real cautious.
Yeah, like let's calm down, Jon. It's not
right.
I come in the trunk. I can give you some. Like let's figure this out.
Right.
Give 200, you get an 8-ball. I'll leave you alone. That's all I need right now.
I saw one thing when I first saw the video. I like to scroll through the comments.
Yeah.
And I was scrolling through, and for the viewers, if you didn't see, some kid was spray painting some like window in some storefront in Albuquerque, and Jon Jones went up to him and like yelled at him and said, "Give me that," and was like collecting all their paint bottles. But so they said that Jon Jones was pissed. Or they said that the kid was spray painting some homeless man, and Jon Jones was pissed because he didn't think of it first.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like, it's so hypocritical of Jon Jones to be like, "You people don't care about our Albuquerque community." It's like, motherfucker, last month they caught you firing rounds into the sky in like the middle of a public space, drunk as shit, like half out of your car. Like, you don't give a shit. You're just trying to make yourself look good.
He's a piece of work, man. But yeah, I think that about wraps it up for this episode. Just a little quick one, little UFC Vegas recap, and then a little hint of Jon Jones there at the end. But thank you guys so much for watching. Follow us on social media: Instagram, PlanetFight123, Twitter, Planet_Fight, and Facebook, just PlanetFight. So look us up. YouTube's PlanetFight. If you're not watching it on there already, just give us some love. We really appreciate it. I'm Dip.
I'm Tuck.
And we're out.